Hello everybody and welcome to another ship reviews episode. So I'm here in a fleet battle. Or mission to be exact, in the Trincomalee, which was the top voted ship for the poll 2 weeks ago. It seemed like the Constitution was gonna win. But after the Bologna review was put up, the Trincomalee pulled ahead. So anyways, there's a new poll in the description, unless I forget it. And I'm going to talk about the Trincomalee. So vote ahead for the ship you want to see after the next one, which is going to be the Constitution, most definitely. But here, it's time for... Oh, also before I start this, there's a rumor, or in May, apparently the rattlesnake will be in game, as on the dev's Facebook, or the Naval Action Facebook page it was mentioned. So in May sometime there will be most likely a rattlesnake review video, since it's a new ship and those always take priority no matter what. Anyways, let's talk about the Trincomalee. The HMS Trincomalee to be exact, since historically she was under British service. That's better. And the HMS Trincomalee is a later class frigate of 38 guns. Of course, you have to remember the British rating system didn't take into account carronades at first. So, I think it's 46 guns. Or something like that if you take into account carronades. So, there's some... The Trincomalee game has extra guns. That's all I can say. And yeah, the Trincomalee, you can still go see the Trincomalee today. The Trincomalee is one of two surviving later class frigates, the other one being the HMS Unicorn. And, like the English like to do, the HMS Trincomalee and other later class frigates were actually based on the French French HEBE class frigate. And yeah, so it's... The Trincomalee is English, but it's a French design. And the later class frigates, they were not slouches, they were fast ships, as the Trincomalee is in game. Historically, sailing broad reach, the later class frigates were known to hit 13 knots. And the frigates really like the stiff gale, so they're more wind is better for these ships. Some ships prefer less wind, you know. Lighter ships tend to sail better in lighter winds. But anyway. Yeah, so... Oh shit. Oops. So the later class frigates, they liked stiff gale and they were fast, however... Things weren't all hunky-dory with the later class frigates, because they were not very weatherly. They tended to pitch and roll in heavy seas, which is seen in-game with this thing having a lot of heel. So yeah, they weren't very good at sailing. They were fast, and that's it. They also had a lack of stowage capacity, which of course isn't very good represented in game, I would argue, but historically they didn't have good stowage capacity, but it was improved when iron freshwater tanks were introduced. So yeah, that was generally about the later class frigates. Let's go more specifically on the HMS Trincomalee. So the HMS Trincomalee was ordered on the 30th of October 1812, and she was built in Bombay in Britain. No. Bombay isn't in Britain, Bombay is in India. And yeah, the ship was named the Trincomalee. She was built out of teak due to a lack of oak. And teak is in fact my preferred wood type for this ship in game as well. And the Trincomalee was launched 12th October 1817. So she makes the game date by a year, 3 years, since the cutoff date for naval action is 1820, I believe. I might be wrong. I'm never gonna get a hit on that one. Why do you do this to me, Renome? Anyways, after completions, the Trincomalee sailed to Portsmouth, English, and that was her sorry, my English is failing me a bit. Her maiden voyage, and in 1819 she arrived. One thing she did during her maiden voyage, which is a cool little tidbit, is she arrived at St. Helena on 24th of January, where she stayed for 6 days, leaving with an additional passenger. And I'm getting hammered here. I'm pretty sure this was a teak one, but I'm taking a beating which I can't withstand. Let's get behind that Renome and get out of fire. Anyways, the Trincomalee lost didn't lose, gained a surgeon, a certain Mr. John Stocko, who attended Napoleon Bonaparte at Longwood House. So that's a fun little fact. Anyways, after being fitted out in Portsmouth, the Trincomalee was placed in reserve until 1845. That's a bit of a pity of a ship. When she was rearmed with fewer guns, but yep, fewer guns, so that's a bit unfortunate. And her stern was reshaped, and she was reclassified as a 4th rate, not a 4th rate, 6th rate. A 6th rate spar-decked corvette, to be exact. And in 1847, the Trincomalee departed Portsmouth again and remained in service for 10 more years, serving on the North American and West Indian stations. During her time there, she was to help quell riots in Haiti and stop a threatened invasion of Cuba. And she also served on anti-slavery patrol. And in 1849 she was dispatched to Newfoundland and Labrador before being recalled to Britain in 1850, and in 1852 she sailed to join the Pacific Squadron on the west coast of America. So far she has had a long life, 30 years roughly in service. But of course it's not over yet. The Trincomalee finished her service as a training ship. And in 1895 she was sold for scrap. 2 years later, 19th of May, 1897, she was purchased by an entrepreneur, George Wheatley Cobb, who restored and renamed the HMS Trincomalee the Foudroyant, and she was used in conjunction with HMS Impeccable as an accommodation ship, a training ship and a holiday ship. And she was based in Falmouth and then Portsmouth, so again where she has spent pretty much all her life in service. And there she remained in service until 1986, and after which she again was restored and renamed the HMS Trincomalee again. But that's not all. Just pop my broadside in. The Trincomalee, as said, it still exists, and she is listed as part of the National Historical Fleet, which is pretty fancy, and the HMS Victory is also part of that fleet. And she is now the centerpiece of the historic dockyard museum in Hartlepool. And the Trincomalee is still afloat. The Trincomalee is the oldest British warship still afloat. Since the HMS Victory, while the HMS Victory is the oldest ship in service ever, the Constitution is the oldest ship afloat and in service ever. The Trincomalee has the honor of being the oldest British ship that's still afloat. Still 1817 to 2016, that's almost 200 years afloat. That's nothing to scoff at. And I have to prep a repair kit for this. I've taken a lot of damage. So, the Trincomalee in naval action. So, she doesn't have 38 guns, or whatever I said, in naval action. In naval action, she has 50 nominal guns. 22 on her weather deck, 28 on her gun deck. On her, as bow chasers, as I want to start in the front, she has 4 bow chasers, 9-pounders. For her weather deck, again 9-pounders. And for her gun deck, it's 18-pounders. However, she can also carry all of her decks, including bow chasers, 32-pound carronades, which is very good at AI, at least, at killing AI. So I used a live oak Trincomalee doing missions where there were 2 constitutions, when I could fully crew this thing. And that was pretty effective. I could usually kill all the constitutions. So yeah, there's that. Now, anyways, the Trincomalee has a decent armament. The armament is very important part of this ship, since it's what makes this better than the Renommee, in my opinion. Since the Renommee just has 2 light armament. But especially, or not especially, but compared to the other competitors of this ship, the Essex and the Constitution, and we'll begin comparing with the Essex, the Trincomalee has about 30 pounds more broadside weight using cannons, and that is mostly due to the Essex also being able to carry 12-pounders on her weather deck. The Trincomalee also has, what I meant to say is, when we're talking about carronades, if both have full carronade loadout, the Trincomalee has 160 pounds more carronade broadside weight, and that is due to the larger amount of guns. The Essex has 40 guns, while the Trincomalee has 50 guns, and since they're all 32-pound carronade, you know, you get that. Compared to the Connie, though, the Connie is of course an entirely different class of ship. The Connie is a super frigate. She is a large ship. But the Connie has 150 pounds more broadside weight, using only cannons, and using carronades the difference is only 60 pounds, where the Connie of course has the heavier broadside. But the small difference is mainly due to the Connie not being able to mount carronades on her gun deck. So yeah, the Trinco has very capable armament. 18-pounders and 9-pound cannons, or 32-pound carronades. And yeah, like I said, in my opinion, that's what makes, at least me, when in a chase, I'd rather be in a Trinco due to the extra firepower versus the Renommee. And I'm going to do the pussy thing here and run away, since I've taken a lot of damage. One thing to note about the Trincomalee, and this could be a bit of a placebo, but I feel like the Connie doesn't really, at least not a teak Trincomalee, it doesn't stand up to fire very well, in my opinion. Like shots. It has very good structure, don't get me wrong, and this might very well be just placebo or something, since I don't feel like I have that issue with the Essex. But yeah, the Trincomalee feels weak, which, in terms of armor, but there's no actual numbers for armor. The closest we have is structure, but structure and armor are 2 completely different things. Armor is how well you withstand to fire or shots, and structure is how many shots you can take, if you get what I'm saying. It's a bit like HP and armor in World of Tanks. Structure is then HP, and armor is then, well, armor. Oh, anyways. We'll talk more about structure later. Now we're going to talk about the sailing qualities of the Trincomalee. And the Trincomalee is a fast ship. Max speed for a teak Trincomalee with no speed trim or anything is 12.47 knots. That's faster than the SX, which has a speed of 12.2 knots, an entire 0.4 knots faster than the Constitution. But that's only when sailing broad reach at the best point of sail of the Trincomalee. When you start going into the other sailing directions compared to the wind, the Trincomalee really starts to lose out. And the SX most definitely sails better in terms of speed in other wind directions. I don't have any numbers of this, but yeah. I'm sorry about that, I only have max speed. And I believe the same is for the Connie, but I might be wrong. But I believe the Connie can at least keep up. And again, this might be outdated information, so apologies. But last I checked, and I haven't sailed the Connie in ages, I'll say that now. Last time I sailed the Connie was before early access. But last I checked, the Connie could keep up with the Trincomalee sailing close hold, for example. So the Trincomalee is only fast sail, running with the wind and sailing broad reach. Any other point of sail, she is quite sluggish. And that's not really a problem if you play with groups, and the Trincomalee is generally a ganking ship due to her speed. The Trincomalee's turn rate, of course, is also very poor. She has a turn rate of 2.56, while the SX, which is a bit smaller, has a turn rate of 3.11. And the Constitution, which is quite a bit bigger than the Trincomalee, has a turn rate of 2.38, which is quite close. So the Trincomalee is not that good of a sailor, except sailing broad reach and running with the wind. Another problem, which I haven't mentioned yet, I believe, is the heel. If I sail, let's sail beam reach, I should be hitting 8-9 degrees of heel, which is a lot. I believe the Trincomalee, or if you want the Trincoma heel, there we go, 9 degrees heel at that point. I believe the Trincomalee is the ship with the worst heel in game. So generally, extra ballast is a nice thing on this ship due to the heel. Anyways, let's exit this match. I didn't do well in this. But we'll continue in the open world while I sail to port. I got some money. But the structure, at least, the structure of the Trincomalee is pretty good. It has 4,479 for a teak Trincomalee. The SX, meanwhile, has 4,030. The SX is a bit smaller. And the Constitution has significantly more at 6,900. Which, in my opinion, is a bit too much for that ship. But if you take into account of the size, that the Constitution is almost the size of a frickin' third rate or a Bologna. That thing is huge. So yeah, the Trincomalee, it's a ganking ship due to its speed. It has decent structure, but a lot of people build it in fur due to the speed. So in a lot of cases, you'll find that Trincomalees are squishy simply due to a lot of people building them in fur and going all out for speed. I don't really sail the Trinco much, but that's their choice. So yeah, the Trincomalee, she is not the fastest ship, not the fastest square rigger, that goes to the Renommee, but a very good firepower. Her 4 chasers, her 4 bow chasers is a lot better than the Renommee's 0 bow chasers. So the Trincomalee is often the ganking ship of choice due to her good firepower, good speed. She is the fastest ship of her size. If we go, I should have done this before, but let's take a list of all the ships in game. And let's see. So, which ship matches her speed? the Renommee by a lot. I need to revisit the Renommee. 13.89 knots sounds a bit high. The Cerberus does. She does 12.62. The Niagara does as well. The Mercury matches it. The Brig is faster. But there's one thing to keep in mind with those. They're all smaller and none of them have bow chasers. Which is part of what makes the Trincomalee a popular ship, her bow chasers. So, I would easily recommend the Trincomalee as a ganking ship due to her speed. However, what I've noticed, at least lately, is that generally the Constitution is a more popular ganking ship due to not her speed. She is decently fast, but she can stand up against third rates, in my opinion, in my experience as well. That's not versus equally skilled captains necessarily, but a Constitution can compete with a third rate and a Bellona, and especially in group play, which ganks always are. If you're like 5-10 Constitutions versus 5-10 Trincom or third rates, I mean, you can just work on isolating third rates and then gank them, and that might be harder to do in a Trincomalee due to her a lot weaker firepower, with cannons at least, and a lot weaker structure. Since 6,900 versus 4,400 something. That's a huge difference. But still, the Trincomalee is a fast ship. In a gank squad, having a Trincomalee, in my opinion, is an excellent choice, simply due to her speed and firepower. So anyways, this has been a ship review on the HMS Trincomalee. Link in the description for what you want to see after the Constitution review. And I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you next time. Bye.